Hello, welcome to a little day in the life of JC. I am running around having kind of a fun Saturday today. So I got my morning walk in. I'm doing a February challenge where I get 10,000 steps every day. It's a little bit more challenging than I was actually expecting. I don't wear like a fitness tracker or anything, so it's just whenever I have my phone on me. And I work from home most days. So it's taken some intention to make sure that I'm getting the time in for my steps, and I have had some late night walks just to get them in because I'm determined to complete this challenge. So I've got 21 days to go, but so far so good. It's a beautiful day. I'm going to head over to the farmer's market this morning. We do like a winter market throughout the off season, so they do them a couple times a month. So we're gonna check out, see if there are some things that I need, such as some honey, maybe some baked treats. They also have like eggs and flowers and various other awesome goodies from local makers and farmers. So we're going to check that out. Also thinking about going to a couple thrift stores and just seeing if I can find anything. I'm always on the lookout for some knitting supplies, and I have some good luck at thrift stores. So we're going to check that out and maybe hit up the library because I am itching to figure out my plans for summer 2026 garden. So got to figure out what I want to start for seedlings this year, and just feeling like maybe some gardening books could give me some of that inspiration that I need. Otherwise, a big goal for today is to figure out my next knitting project. So got some yarn, got some needles. We'll see what I can make with them. Might have to peruse Ravelry for a while and figure it out. I've kind of narrowed it down a little bit, but I'm in the middle of a little blocking mishap from my last project. I really want it to be a sweater that I want and enjoy to wear. It's that green sweater. I don't know if I posted about it here, just on my TikTok, but it's a beautiful green turtleneck sweater, and it got really stretched out when I blocked it. So we'll see. I'm blocking it a second time to see if I can kind of scrunch together those stitches and make it a little bit smaller. Otherwise, I might have to shorten the sleeves and redo the neck, which just takes time, but is totally doable. It's a good learning lesson. So maybe I'll talk about that later and show you what's going on with that. But otherwise, just figuring out my next knitting project and just enjoying this beautiful Saturday. Just taking it slow, taking it easy, and trying to get creative and spend not very much time on my phone besides recording these. So, all right, let's go. I am back from my little adventure around town today. So let's jump right into it. I've got a little farmer's market haul. Just got some applesauce and some local honey. This stuff is great for homemade ice cream. So I get my milk from a farm nearby, and I separate the cream and I make some ice cream. And this is my trick to getting it to stay creamy in the freezer. A lot of times if you make homemade ice cream, it just turns into a really hard block. So this is my trick. I also got a dozen beautiful eggs and that cinnamon roll that you might have seen. So that was my, small but mighty farmer's market haul. And I went to the library. That was kind of my last stop of the day, and I got some great books. One pretty fabulous knitting book. I've heard this as a recommendation for knitters, so I'm excited to check it out. And maybe I'll end up buying it someday. And then I got a bunch of gardening books. So I do a lot of fruit and herb gardening because those are kind of my main preferences when it comes to products produced by the garden. So I have a couple peach trees and some raspberry bushes and serviceberry bushes and lots of different perennial herbs. But it is about time to start those seed starts. So I got to figure out what else I want to add to my garden this year. So I've got some fruit and vegetable gardening in the Midwest, the beautiful edible garden, and growing fruit in the upper Midwest. So, and fruits and berries. So maybe someday I'll do a little tour of the garden and talk more about my gardening plans, but I love gardening. I love growing things. I do a lot of tea and stuff with herbs that I've grown from my garden. So love that kind of thing. And then I also went to a couple thrift stores. I went to Goodwill, didn't have any good luck, but I really want to see that new movie coming out, Wuthering Heights. And I figured I should read the book before I watch the movie. And I really wanted to find this book at one of the thrift stores today. And I was at the first thrift store and I was like, I want to manifest this book. So I perused the book aisles, did not find it, went to the next thrift store. Again, did not find it. The saga continues. I did find this organic gardening book, which will be great. And then I got a couple sewing pattern packets. So this one I really like, this little cropped tank top. Probably have some random fabric in my cupboard to use for that. And then I thought, I don't love these purses, but I think that if I found a fabric that I really enjoyed, they're very simple. Some of these are pretty just simple purses. So I would love to try that out. I think that's fun. Now, although I did not find Wuthering Heights at one of those thrift stores, I had a few other errands to run throughout the day before I got to the library. And then by the time I got to the library, I was just set on getting some gardening books. But I just happened to be walking around and I walked right into this little corner where they sell used books. It's a very small corner. And the first bookshelf I get to, at the bottom shelf, the book, I manifested it. It happens when you least expect it, I'm telling you. So I'm pretty stoked about that. I can't believe that happened, but yeah, pretty cool. So that happened. So now I have to start my next knitting project. I spent an hour or so this afternoon figuring that out, and I think I'm on to my next project. So I do have a couple other projects in mind, but I don't have the right size of knitting needles for them. So I just placed an order. They're 2.5 millimeters. They're so tiny, but there's a couple long sleeve tops that I want to make that need smaller knitting needles. So I can't really start that right now. So let's go upstairs and check out what I've got going on in the knitting room. I'm hanging out in my little art room. I closed it off so that the cats can't get to it, because what you can't see laying on the ground here is my third ever knit sweater laying out to block for the second time. So basically what happened was, and I'll show some pictures here, but I finished my sweater and I was really enjoying it. I thought that it was super cute. I knew that the sleeves were gonna grow, so I knit them pretty short. And the neck, it's a turtleneck, so it had some nice structure to it. But then I blocked it and I totally stretched everything out. I just wasn't really paying attention. I just knew that I wanted the sleeves to grow, and grow they did. They ended up growing probably almost 10 inches, and it ended up just being way too long. They were to my fingertips. So the neck also became really floppy. It just lost all its structure. It was like a cowl neck, and that's not what I was going for. So I consulted the internet and decided to try blocking it a second time. So I just soaked the sleeves and the neck. I did not do the full body. And I also folded the neck in a way, in the way that I would wear it. So just fold it over and blocked it that way, and also folded the sleeves in. And I really kind of scrunched everything back together to try to make it smaller. So it's been drying for about a day and a half. So I think I'm gonna try it on later and see if that improved things. I'll show you a little video clip of how I'm blocking it now versus how I did it before. It just really got stretched out. So it was a great learning lesson for future reference to really measure things and be very careful with how I'm picking up the fabric and pulling the fabric, and just being mindful of how much I actually want it to grow rather than just stretching it to the ends of the earth. It's just ridiculous. So I guess you have to learn the hard way at some point, otherwise you don't really learn. As for my next knitting project, because I need to order needles of the right size for the other projects I want to do, I really enjoy making wearables, things that I can wear on a regular basis, which is why I've been doing so many sweaters. And I have a couple other sweaters I want to do before, you know, like more summer tops. But a while back, I went to a cute knitting shop and I got this really lovely kind of yellow yarn. And it is, let's see what it is. It's the color Frank Ochre. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it's a worsted weight yarn. I have 200 grams of this, so this is 100 and I've got another 100. It is Malabrigo, so I've heard people throwing that name around. Apparently it's really a great yarn. This is actually a superwash. Yeah, it's 100% superwash merino wool, which I haven't worked with superwash before, but hopefully it's like just easier to care for. But I've got 2 of these and I'm actually going to work on a cowl neck, kind of like a scarf situation. So I'll show you the pattern I'm going to be using. It is a free pattern on Ravelry using the slip honeycomb stitch, which I think is a really pretty stitch. I don't know. So I think that'll be a really nice, like, quick project. Plus we're still in the middle of winter here and I used to have a kind of a burnt yellow mustard color infinity scarf that I really liked, but it's acrylic and I'm really trying to move more towards wool and cotton and things like natural fibers, especially something that's so close to your face. You're just like inhaling microplastics, I feel like. I don't know. So I've got 2 of these. One of them's ready to go, so I'm going to cast on this afternoon and check out one of my favorite YouTube channels, Wild Homestead. And I'm just gonna sit there and knit later today. But I think I need to eat some late lunch / dinner here soon. Okay, so I just pulled my sweater, my 3rd sweater, off the block. And I'm really excited to announce I fixed it. And now we've got a structured turtleneck. There is still some kind of like situation happening here that's making it bulge out a little bit. I gotta work on that. But the sleeves are the perfect length. Here it is. Oops. Knocked over the fan. Yeah, now I'm pretty happy with it. I want to fix this neck bubble, but otherwise, oh my gosh, this is night and day difference from the first time I blocked it. So pretty happy with it. Hello again. I'm just hanging out. It's like 8:30. I've got my tea. This is a blend with some mint and lemon balm that I grew in my garden last year. It is very delicious. It's been my go-to lately, but just hanging out, winding down for the evening. Went for a nice evening stroll, got my last steps in to reach 10,000 steps. So I'm just taking it easy now. Working on this book. I just started it a few days ago. I love Kristin Hannah books. This is maybe the 4th Kristin Hannah book I've read. This is The Great Alone. It's set in Alaska. Enjoying it so far. So I'll probably read a few chapters of that. I did cast on another project, as I mentioned earlier, but I think I'm gonna frog it. It uses the honeycomb slip stitch, or slip honeycomb stitch, I don't know. But basically you have to alternate slip stitch and then a purl stitch, slip stitch, purl stitch, and then the next round you knit. And then the round after that, you slip stitch, purl stitch, but I don't know, you do every other, and I keep messing up and purling twice in a row, or most of the time it's purling twice in a row. And so it's just kind of making a mess and I'm not loving it. And I feel like I'm going to keep making mistakes, even if I frog it back to where I made my first mistake, which was a couple rows ago, but I didn't notice it until recently. So it's basically this cowl that you wrap twice, kind of a little infinity scarf. But I have an idea to basically adapt the pattern and just use a different stitch. So I think I'm going to do that. I don't really want to cast on again, but I think I'm just going to have to start over. So that will be most of my evening. I think Penelope, one of my cats, is pretty antsy right now, so might have to give her a little attention and play with her for a little bit. But otherwise, that wraps up this video today. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a good weekend.